You know that moment when you have something important to do, you fully intend to do it, and then somehow you end up cleaning your desk, checking your messages, making tea, scrolling your phone, or watching one short video that somehow turns into 40 minutes. Why does that happen? Here's the uncomfortable answer. Most of the time, procrastination is not a laziness problem. It is a relief problem. You are not avoiding the task because you are weak. You are avoiding the task because in that exact moment, the task feels uncomfortable, and your brain finds a faster way to feel better. That is the real trick behind procrastination. You are not choosing failure. You are choosing short-term relief. And the problem is that short-term relief usually creates long-term stress. Think about it like emotional credit card spending. Right now, avoiding the work gives you a little reward. You feel lighter. You feel less pressure. You escape the boredom, the fear, the confusion, or the frustration. But later, the bill shows up. The deadline gets closer. The task feels bigger. Your guilt increases. Your stress increases. And now the same thing you avoided feels even harder to start. That is the procrastination loop. The task feels bad, so you avoid it. Avoiding it gives you relief. That relief teaches your brain to avoid it again. Then guilt and stress make the task feel even worse. And the cycle repeats. This is why telling yourself, I just need to be more motivated, usually does not work. Because motivation is not always what comes before action. A lot of the time, motivation comes after you start. You do not need to feel ready to begin. You need to begin small enough that your brain stops treating the task like a threat. The first reason you do not want to work right now is emotional discomfort. If a task feels boring, confusing, frustrating, risky, or just unpleasant, your brain tags it as something to escape. And the sneaky part is that relief comes the second you stop thinking about the task. Imagine someone named Maya. Maya needs to send one difficult email. It is not a huge task. It might only take 5 minutes. But when she opens her laptop, she feels a knot in her stomach. She does not know exactly what to say. She worries the other person might judge her. She does not want to deal with the response. So suddenly, cleaning her downloads folder feels urgent. Then she checks her messages. Then she makes tea. Then she tells herself, I'll do it later when I'm in a better mood. But nothing magical happened. Her brain simply found a faster route to feeling okay. That is procrastination in miniature. It is not always laziness. It is emotional avoidance. The second reason you do not want to work right now is that your brain discounts future rewards. In simple terms, future benefits feel less real than present comfort. You know that finishing the assignment, sending the email, making the call, going to the gym, or working on the project will help you later. But later is vague. Right now is loud. Right now, the couch is comfortable. Right now, your phone is interesting. Right now, doing something easier feels better. That is why, I'll do it later feels so believable. Later becomes this fantasy zone where you magically have more energy, more discipline, more confidence, and more time. But future you is not a different person. Future you is just you with less time and more pressure. The third reason is fear. Not always dramatic fear. Sometimes it is quiet fear. Fear of doing the work badly. Fear of being judged. Fear of finding out you are not as capable as you hoped. Fear of starting and realizing the task is harder than you thought. This is where perfectionism becomes dangerous. A lot of people think perfectionism means having high standards. But the harmful version of perfectionism is not just wanting to do well. It is needing the work to be so good that starting feels unsafe. If your private rule is, I have to do this perfectly, your brain may decide it is safer not to begin at all. That is why people over-prepare. That is why they keep researching. That is why they keep polishing the plan. That is why they say, I'm just not ready yet. Sometimes, I'm not ready really means, if I start, I can no longer protect the fantasy that I would have done this perfectly. And that hits hard because procrastination often protects your ego in the short term. If you do not start, you do not have to see the messy first version. You do not have to face feedback. You do not have to risk failure. But the cost is that nothing moves. The fourth reason is your environment. A vague task is easy to postpone. Work on project is not a real action. It is fog. Your brain does not know where to begin, so it looks for something clearer. And what is clearer than checking a notification? What is clearer than opening another tab? What is clearer than grabbing a snack, replying to one message, or doing a small easy task that makes you feel productive? This is why procrastination is not just inside your mind. It is also built into your surroundings. If your phone is beside you, that is an escape hatch. If your browser has 20 tabs open, those are escape hatches. If your workspace is full of distractions, your brain does not need to invent avoidance. Avoidance is already sitting right there. So procrastination is not one villain. It is usually a team effort. Discomfort, distant rewards, fear, vague tasks, and an environment full of easy ways to escape. So what actually helps? The first strategy is to shrink the start. Not the whole project, just the first visible move. Do not tell yourself, I need to finish the report. Tell yourself, I need to open the document. Do not tell yourself, I need to study for 3 hours. Tell yourself, I need to read 1 page. The goal is not to finish. The goal is to make starting feel safe. Because once you start, the task usually becomes less scary. Not always easy, but clearer. And clarity reduces resistance. The second strategy is to use an if-then plan. Not, I'll work on it later. That is too vague. Try this instead. If it is 7 p.m. and I sit at my desk, then I will work on the report for 15 minutes. Or, if I finish dinner, then I will open my laptop and write the first paragraph. A vague intention makes you feel good for a moment. A specific plan gives your brain instructions. The third strategy is to install real deadlines and friction. If you can stretch a deadline forever, you probably will. So break one big deadline into smaller ones. Tell someone what you will send and when. Put it on the calendar. Make the next step visible. And make distraction harder. Put your phone in another room. Block the website. Close the extra tabs. Remove one escape hatch. You do not need a perfect environment. You just need an environment where starting is easier than escaping. The fourth strategy is to respond to the emotion without obeying it. This is important. You do not beat procrastination by pretending the discomfort is not there. You beat it by noticing it and acting anyway. Name what is happening. I feel bored. I feel confused. I feel judged. I feel behind. I feel scared. This will not be good. Once you name the feeling, it becomes less mysterious. Then add self-compassion instead of self-attack. Self-attack sounds productive, but usually makes the problem worse. When you call yourself lazy, stupid, or useless, you add shame on top of the task. Now you do not just have to do the work. You also have to fight yourself. That is a terrible system. Be honest, but not brutal. The goal is not to win an argument with yourself. The goal is to restart behavior. Here is the simplest sequence. Notice the feeling. Shrink the step. Set the cue. Start for 10 minutes. That is it. Not forever. Not perfectly. Just 10 minutes. And if after 10 minutes you still want to stop, you can stop. But most of the time, the hardest part was not the work. The hardest part was crossing the starting line. So why don't you want to work right now? Probably not because you are broken. Probably not because you are lazy. Probably because the task feels bad. The reward feels far away. Perfectionism is whispering. And your environment is offering easier ways to feel better. The trap is thinking you need a different personality. You do not. You need a different first step. After this video, do not promise yourself a perfect day. Do not wait for a better mood. Pick one thing you have been avoiding. Make it ridiculously small. Turn it into an if-then plan. And start before your brain opens another tab. Because procrastination says, feel better first, act later. But real progress says, act a little, feel better after. Future you is not coming to rescue you. You are future you. Start tiny. Start badly. Start now.